Good afternoon. My name is Liudmyla Shchetinina. I am Associate Professor, Kyiv National Economic University, after Vadim Getman, Department Social Economic and Personal Management, Ukraine. The topic of my research is distant technologies in sustainable education, the case of Ukraine during the coronavirus pandemic. Sustainable education systems in tertiary institutions aim to reduce the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. To identify the readiness of educational institutions for current and future problems, a survey has been conducted among a representative number of teachers and students. The spread of the coronavirus in Ukraine led to the introduction of quarantine in March 2020, which inevitably affected the higher education systems in the country. Teachers and students were forced to master new remote technologies in a short time. At the beginning of the quarantine, the selection of distant technologies by teachers depended on their awareness and expertise. The most popular remote technologies were email, Viber, and Telegram, as we can see on slide 1. However, the use of only these remote technologies didn't provide the required quality of educational services. In addition to insufficient expertise in the use of distant technologies by teachers, respondents indicated other problems. As we can see on slide 2, there are technical, psychological, organizational. In this academic year, teachers began to actively conduct classes using Zoom, Meet, Moodle, Google Classroom. At the same time, the effectiveness of the educational process depends not only on the readiness of teachers, but also on students. The most common distant learning tools, according to a survey of students, were Zoom, Moodle, and Meet, as we can see on slide 3. To assess the quality of the educational process online, special criteria should be used that differ from those used during traditional learning, as we can see on slide 4. According to the survey, the highest average score of students set the criterion ability to work at any time, 4.031 points. However, it's possible to maintain and increase the value of this criterion only in distance learning. In full-time education, improving the quality of this criterion can mean significant reduction in the learning criteria quality. The analysis of the criteria proposed by students makes it possible to conclude that the quality of the educational process, as in the case of traditional learning, will depend on the teacher. Only 2 of the proposed criteria are relevant to the features of remote technologies: the convenience of remote technologies and its communicative capabilities, and the possibility of combining different types of educational activities. Distance learning technologies should take into account the characteristics of academic disciplines, the distribution of teaching hours between interactive and independent work of students. Students were asked to assess the level of compliance of distant learning technology with the needs of the discipline, where 0 isn't suitable for learning, 5 best meets the demands. According to the evaluation results, the following results were obtained, as we can see on slide 5. The first place among remote technologies working in real time is Zoom. Among communication channels, students preferred Telegram, which corresponds to the general trends of its popularity among young people. An important issue is the effectiveness of online courses on the educational platforms and teaching these courses online by teachers of higher education institutions. As we can see on slide 6, students rated the effectiveness of learning on the educational platforms with an average score of 3.73. while the effectiveness of education and the universities, according to their opinion, reaches 28 points. Consequently, the format of teaching in higher education is more attractive to students than learning through educational platforms. At the same time, one should take into account the fact that university education and studying with the help of the educational platform have their segments to provide learning services. Thank you for your attention.